Right here we can see the main directions of flights leaving Russia, and most of these planes are full of Russian men trying to avoid the mobilization. In addition to that, a historic exchange of prisoners of war has happened today, and Ukraine was able to get back 200 of its soldiers just in exchange for one Russian. Also, tomorrow is going to be an extremely important day because these so-called referendums in Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporozhye and Kherson are set to happen. And finally, while everyone's attention is upon the mobilization in Russia, Ukraine just quietly continues its counteroffensive. And we have some major results today. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's go straight to the point and talk about the second day of this partial mobilization in Russia. First of all, as you can see from this picture, several people who are participating in anti-mobilization protests yesterday received their military summons. But the protests did not stop. For example, in this video, which came to us from Dagestan, Russia, the locals blocked the road which was leading to the military enlistment office. And so far, unfortunately, the first wave of protests did not bring any meaningful results. But right here we have the announcement for the second wave of protests, and it's supposed to happen on September 24th at 5 p.m. local time in every city in Russia. But at the same time, I can understand those Russian men who are not willing to participate in these protests, because as you have already seen, such people become a very easy target for the mobilization itself. And that is why, as you can see from this video, Russian men continue to cross the border by land. And the three most popular destinations as of right now are Mongolia, Georgia and Finland. At the same time, as you can see from this picture, other Russian men prefer to cross the border by plane. But reportedly, some of them are being taken to the special rooms just to check their documents. And before I show you the footage from the mobilization itself, here are some facts that do not make this partial mobilization to be partial at all. First of all, the senator from Crimea, Olga Kvetidi, proposed to remove scoliosis and flat feet from the list of diseases which make you ineligible to go to the army. Second, at least 3 regions in Russia, Tatarstan, Kursk and Yakutia, prohibited those people in the reserve or those people registered within the army to leave the borders of their region. And such people outside of their region must return within 3 days. And additionally, it has been reported that the forces of Belarus were given an order to track all the Russians who are hiding from the mobilization, particularly inside Belarus. Alright, and here as promised is very quickly the footage from the actual mobilization. And before I do it, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel if you like this style of daily updating. Okay, so first of all we have this guy right here who is complaining that he got summoned into the military while he is completely ineligible. He is not in the reserve, he has never been in the army, he does not have any particular skills, and yet he was mobilized. Then we have this video of Russian men waiting next to the military enlistment office to be processed. And apparently, as you can see right here, some Russians are being blessed before they are sent into Ukraine. And then we have this video of recently mobilized men who are being loaded into the bus. And in the background, a solo musician is playing them a very encouraging song. Just listen to this. Alright, and now let's briefly talk about the second major part of the video, which is the historic exchange of prisoners of war between Russia and Ukraine. According to this article, 215 Ukrainian soldiers returned home, and 200 of these Ukrainians were exchanged just for one Russian person, Viktor Medvedchuk, who is extremely close to Putin. Among 215 rescued Ukrainian soldiers, 10 of them were international fighters, 124 officers and 108 Azov soldiers. And all of them were exchanged only for 55 Russian soldiers, and most of them were captured during Kharkov counteroffensive. This exchange was made possible partially thanks to Turkey, and because of this, 5 Azov commanders will remain under the protection of Turkey until the end of war. And by the way, if you want to see more truly heartwarming footage of this prisoners of war exchange, please consider checking my Patreon. All the proceeds will be donated to Ukraine, and you can find all the useful links down below. Alright, and now let's talk about the next major part of the video, which are referendums in Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporozhye and Kherson, which are set to happen tomorrow. In this picture, for example, you can see the example of a ballot which will be used during referendum in Zaporozhye. The text is written in two languages, Russian and Ukrainian, and it says the following: do you support Zaporozhye region leaving Ukraine, becoming independent territory, and then joining Russia? And the answers are either yes or no. Pretty much, you cannot vote on any of these things in particular. It has to be all or nothing. And the major problem with this is that as soon as these referendums are over, Russia will consider these territories as a part of Russia, which basically means that any attack against these territories will trigger the response. And I was talking more about this in detail in my previous video. And before I talk about silent, yet a very successful and ongoing counteroffensive of Ukraine, allow me to quickly show you just two videos. First of all, as you can see from this video, which came to us from Zaporozhye, Russians attacked a local hotel and an electrical equipment. Russia immediately blamed Ukraine for these attacks, hoping to promote the upcoming referendum. And then we have this video from Azov, which happened last week, and it shows Russians using this weapon while retreating. And please let me know in the comments what do you think it is. Alright, and now it's time to talk about the quiet counteroffensive. According to Zelensky, it might seem like nothing is happening, but Ukraine is just preparing. And as you can see from this map, Ukraine continued retaking back its territories during this week. It might not be as quick as during Kharkov counteroffensive, but Ukrainians are getting very close to the next key city, Liman. And if you remember from my previous videos, capturing Liman, Yempil and Bilohirivka opens the road to Lysychansk and Severodonetsk for Ukraine. And so far, Ukraine already succeeded in Bilohirivka. It is almost there and Liman, leaving only Yempil to be the last major city in this area. Several reports, including Russian ones, also claim that Ukraine was able to liberate Drobyshevo and Karovy Yar. And now Ukraine is rapidly advancing next to Ridka-Dub, which basically means that besides attacking Liman from the south, Ukraine will be able to attack it from the west and from the north. The city will be surrounded and it will be liberated. But we also cannot forget about the south. At this very moment, Ukraine is assembling its forces to retake back Kherson. And then, as soon as Ukraine is successful, according to Zelensky, they might pursue diplomatic measures to retake back Crimea. And then right here, we have extremely intriguing video from Enerhodar. This is the city which is right next to Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and the territory is under absolute control of Russians. But as you can see, individual Ukrainian forces are already in the borders with this city. Welcome to another episode of Ridiculous Russian Propaganda. And right here we have, listen very carefully, Ex-KGB Combat Fortune Teller. And what he says is that after inspecting only the pictures of President Zelensky, he is very convinced that the president will surrender on September 17th. I mean, at the time of recording this video, it is already September 22nd, which basically means that his forecast is a little bit inaccurate. But here's the funniest part. Russian propaganda said that hold your horses. Yes, he said September 17th, but he did not specify which year. I now want to personally say thank you to Not Wolfie Discord gang, Fat Daddy VLLL- or I mean Roman 8, Tony Klarer, Algarve Mickey and Dmitry Orlov for becoming my most recent channel members. And if you also want to see me torturing myself by trying to pronounce your names, please consider becoming my channel members as well. And by the way, I have my charitable live stream this Saturday, September 24th at 7 PM Eastern Standard Time. Also, if you want to see the full list of rescued Ukrainian prisoners, feel free to join my Discord. And yes, it's completely free. Thank you so much for your attention, follow me on Instagram, stay safe and see you tomorrow.